This is going to be a quick one because I actually was charging the phone when I started hollowing out the chest or torso area of sister number 2. So I'm not trying to handle this too much because this area of the arm, as you can see, is very loose, soft. I'll probably have to rebuild that up, but I do have to hollow out this chest area. Again, you can see where the arms are very loose, soft. But I hollowed all of this out, not with this tool, because it was too small for what I needed to do. I hollowed out with the larger loop tool, bouncing between the round end and flipping it over and the triangular end. You see it there? I'm waving it back and forth because sometimes I end up zooming in when I'm editing the video, and then you miss out on me showing you some of the details. So anyway, that's what I bounced between. This tool with the round loop, flipped over, triangular shaped loop, and I just went in, scraped out, dug in deep, hollowed deep into her hips area. So just to gauge how far I've gone right now, that's how far it sinks. So I'm probably right about in this area right here. And this clay is still very, very, very soft and pliable. So I'm trying to make sure not to make the walls too thin, keep them uniform and even so that it won't contribute to any stress points, an area where when the clay starts shrinking, and of course when it goes into the actual kiln, it just starts to separate and create cracks and fissures. So here I'm taking the small loop because I'm doing a little more detailed, or not detailed, smaller areas of hollowing out. Hopefully you can see, I'll zoom in, but I had already used the needle tool right here to outline the area that I needed to hollow. All of that is the outline that I created right there. And up and all the way around. And that enables me to make sure I don't go past a certain point with my hollowing so that I can successfully join the two pieces back together. And all of it is a lot of looking and feeling. Like, all right, hopefully that angle shows you this arm. There's not a lot of meat back here, unlike my arms. I've got those soul food arms, like, you know, I cook macaroni and cheese, collard greens, and candied yams all day, but I don't. Well, this sister doesn't have that going on for her. So I have to make sure not to dig in too deeply. I want to hollow out an area, but I'm not pressing hard because it would be very easy for me to punch through to the other side because there's not a lot of clay to actually scoop out here. So I'm doing what I can without compromising the structure. I'm keeping my finger placed against the back because when you start going a little too deep, you'll feel the vibration of the tool. You can feel with these fingers the fact that you're moving downward or you're stroking upward. Whatever it is, if you're starting to feel it back here, you're in danger of getting too deep. So I think I'm at a comfortable point with the hollowing of this area. So I'm going to pretty much stop here. And you can see this is a very, very fine area. So I'm going to go in a little bit deep immediately. I don't want to have to mess with this area too much because it's thin. So I'm just pushing inward and pulling forward to get the excess clay out. Sometimes you have to approach it from different angles. Like you see, I was stroking downward for this area. Now on this ledge, which is a part that's cut at an angle because when I used the wire tool, I started at her neck right here, pulled down, and then I had to come out because I didn't want to slice all the way through the arm. So for this area, I'm just going to dig in at this angle and come up. Once again, trying not to disturb the connection points, which is all of this, too much. What I will definitely have to remember is that I didn't hollow out this section, and I'm probably not going to. The reason why is because I left that area thick enough so that I can shape it and sculpt it and make the arms a little more slender, a little more graceful. And if I hollow out now at this point and I'm still trying to land on the exact shape I want, then if I'm leaving the walls approximately that thick and then I start scraping away, now they're becoming that thick. And that can cause it to be an area that's not uniform. That will cause it to be an area where when the clay starts to shrink and pull apart, it's not going to be able to hold its own because it just doesn't have enough clay to support the pull. So of course it's going to crack and split. So that's what I'm trying to avoid right here. So I'm done with that area. Like I said, I don't want to tamper with it too much. And I'm just going to go over here to the other shoulder, start scooping out. I've got a good amount of clay in this little section here. But again, you can see where I'm placing my hands, right there behind the area that I'm working, just so I can feel if there's anything giving away, any vibration that is indicating that I am getting way too close to this back part for comfort, and creating, again, an area that is not going to be able to stand up against shrinkage and pulling. So you have to be cognizant of that at all times. What are you doing with your sculpture? What areas are you compromising in your effort to achieve a particular look? And it's probably a situation where a lot of times you realize that logistically you're not going to be able to achieve a certain look, and you may have to approach an area of your sculpture or a whole sculpture from a different vantage point. Something that you wanted to look realistic may now end up having to look a lot more abstract in order for the integrity of the foundation to be able to hold up, and that's fine. Because sometimes you can end up with something that was better than your intention initially, just because you had to make those adjustments, which is true of life. You know what I'm saying? I mean, how many times do we plan for something and then it doesn't quite work out the way we assumed it would, and now you've got to recalibrate and figure it out because you got to keep on living, or you got to reach that goal that you were intending to reach. So it's the same thing with clay. It's almost like a child. You have some particular intentions for it. You know the route that you want your children's life to take, and it's always a positive one, and you always want them to be successful. But they're going to try some things. They're going to try some things that are not going to work out, and you have to understand that they are their own person at the end of the day, and everything that they were born with is exactly what they need to get through in the life that they will be living, not you. So I have a parent-child relationship with my sculptures where I realize I have this intention. I got this thing that I want to do, that I want you to become. But then it turns into, I really hope you see it the same way I do, and I hope we can work together on this development. But if you decide that it's a little too challenging, or you don't want me to sculpt you in that particular way, I'm willing to compromise to make sure that we both end up on the winning side. So I'm going to stop right here for now. You see, I've hollowed out the arms, the torso area. When I come back, we're going to return to this piece, which is her front. Let me lift it. I flip it like a pancake. So that's her front area. And as you can see, it's hold on. Right there, good little thickness of clay, and we're just going to hollow out some of that chest area. We're pretty much leaving the arms alone because we've already hollowed out the arms in this section, and these areas are so flimsy, and they're flimsy because there's not very much clay in the first place. So I'm going to stop this here and take my son to work in a little while, and then I will return, and we will continue to go through this journey of me working on 3 SISTAs, 1 FRO, second installment, in just a few. I appreciate you for hanging in there. Peace.